a lot of work for a little drill. Taking copious amounts of measurements so that you know you're not going to run into problems is important. Now I'm going to step this out from the wall just a little bit so that I have room to perhaps put a little insulation on the far side once everything is installed. My duct is going to run from here into this area in the back here, and I'll probably create a small little plate. Let me just check something. This is the ducting material here. So let me just see that it... Oh yeah. Very easily fits through the amount of space that I have there. So this will just have a slight, I'll just create a slight offset bend to it, like that, to bring it into this little area here. Oh, this is going to work so nicely. I couldn't be more pleased. Yeah, that's really great. I want to leave enough space back here. See, this is a cold air intake, and while I don't have to duct it, I do need to leave it unobstructed. And I'll eventually build a box around this, so this will be completely isolated. Two reasons. One, I want to be able to control the airflow. I want the heat to come out the vent. I don't want it to be radiating out underneath here, especially under the bed. I want to build a box around it because, as quiet as this unit is, I also want to insulate around it to minimize any sound transmission coming through. I want it to be nice and quiet. In a forced air furnace heat system in your home, you have to have a balanced system, and what I mean by that is
a household furnace needs to be able to draw the cool air from the room, warm it up, and send it back out through the vents unrestricted.
And the same principle applies here. The air that comes out here needs to come in here. You want the air to come from the other side of where the warm air is being vented from, so you don't end up short cycling and basically sucking in warm air that's just produced.
However, due to the limitations of a small trailer, I may choose to vent to the exterior, so there is an unrestricted and unlimited supply of cool, fresh air.
That is where I want to make the hole. So I'm going to start by drilling a pilot hole. Now the reason that's important, you'll see in a moment, is with this hole saw, I don't want to go all the way through with this hole saw. I want to go halfway through from the top, and then go around to the bottom and halfway through from the bottom. That way I end up with a nice clean hole at both ends. And the way to accomplish that is by starting with a pilot hole so your holes are aligned. Precision is important. I'm making a hole in the floor of my trailer. Big one, 4-inch hole. So I really need to be happy with the location that I've chosen to do this in. And I am. I'm good with it. Is my drill gonna fit underneath here? It just fits. It did not take long to do that. There's a lot of work for a little drill. This could take a while. Okay, progress. I'm through the top layer. I've gone through the floor. Plywood looks like I've gone through the plywood. That looks like about 1/2 inch. And there's a layer of insulation. And I've punched through to the bottom, and now I'm going to go underneath and come back up. And I am also not going to throw away this piece that was cut from the floor. I have a future plan for this, so you'll just have to stay tuned and wait and see what that is. I think the most challenging part of this whole job is getting back up again after I've gotten down on the ground here. There we are. Alright, I'll cut that out with... oh, maybe I can use this. I was going to say I was going to cut it out with an X-Acto blade, a knife. So this is the material that's on the bottom of the trailer. I don't know exactly what it is. It just looks like about 1/8 inch thick, some kind of press board, really. And as far as insulation is concerned, it's not much. About 3/4 of an inch to an inch of fiberglass insulation with... now I like this. I was a home inspector for 13 years, and so I like seeing this. What this is a vapor barrier on the warm side, which is exactly what I'd want to see. So there we go. There's our hole. Yeah, I'm gonna go stick my turret through, and we'll see what that looks like. I have to assemble it on the heater first, so let's go back inside. Now, one of the first things I need to do, this is my mounting plate. This goes on the bottom of the heater itself, and like that. And this bolts to the floor down there, and then the exhaust and the intake ports run down through the hole in the floor that I'm in. The reason I've done this, I've gone with this, is because if this was a van conversion and I was mounting this on the floor of a van that only had a thin metal plate and maybe a little plywood, I'd be looking at about this thick to go through, and the ports would easily go through there, and I wouldn't have to worry about anything being able to get in. And what I mean by that is a floor of a trailer like this, there's the flooring material itself, but then there's also the plywood underneath that, and then there's a layer of insulation, and then the bottom skin. And so at the end of the day, you end up with a sandwich about this thick, or as thick as this. This is just a 4-inch duct cap that I purchased for under $12 from Home Depot again, and it will sleeve down. So what I'm going to do is mount, I have to make 2 1-inch holes for these, and then 4 mounting holes, and then a hole for the fuel. I basically have to duplicate the openings in here, so that this will become basically a single piece that will, like a turret, it'll sleeve down into the floor, and will protect my floor from insect intrusion, moisture, water being able to splash up underneath there. It'll just make a cleaner install. So I have to basically just landmark all of that, and again, measure very carefully before I start drilling and cutting holes. A step bit is what you want to use for drilling holes like this in metal. A twist bit is really hard to control. It's just an angry thing. I need a Sharpie. All I'm trying to do is make sure that I get my turret perfectly centered. Time to start making some holes. I'm going to head into the shop. I've made my own turret.
I should add too that if you don't want to have to make something like I am doing, you can purchase these turrets separately. In Canadian dollars, if I was to buy one, it would be about $100 after tax. I'm taking the less expensive route.
Okay, let's assemble this and see what we've got. Now, this isn't a final assembly. This really is just a dry test fit, because before I do a final assembly, I am going to want to have I'm going to have to vacuum out the area and clean it all up, and I want to get some high quality 50-year rated construction sealant, because yeah, this is going to be exposed to the elements. So you can see what I've created here. It's essentially a turret to drop down through the hole in the floor. Now, if I would have spent $2,000 on an Eberspacher, which is the German heater that this was modeled after, it's probably an identical copy. 3 years ago, you didn't see anything about these Chinese diesel heaters on the market because the two, basically, I think it was just two companies, Eberspacher and there's one other one, I forget the name right now. They held the patents to these heaters. And so, so long as they held the patents, they were the only game in town. And they were very common, not in the RV crowd, but the long haul trucker crowd. The trucks with the cabs, the guys basically park on the side of the road and sleep. They needed some good heaters in their vehicles to keep their mobile apartments warm. And Eberspacher and this other company, which escapes me right now, they were the two games in town. And as soon as the patent expired a couple years ago, 100 of these copies hit the market. So they were just waiting for the gates to open, and when they did, they came out in full force, and that's when you started hearing about them. Anyways, this turret that I basically built for, this cost me $12 and about half an hour of my time. They come with the $2,000 version of this heater, whereas when you buy the $200 version, you need to make it yourself, which that's all right. I can do that. I've seen other people do other things to fit these things by cutting different shape holes. I'm pretty comfortable doing this because this is what the $2,000 version heater does. So I'm just doing what someone else already does. And so it's a proven system that works. The other advantage to this, so there it is. That's what it will look like mounted.
Now, here's a little trick I want to show you before bolting the whole assembly to the floor.
Is that I can take my exhaust pipe and slip that into place. Now, in this bag of tricks, there should be, you know what? Those guys, there isn't. I've got these clips, which are hangers for these pipes. One is for the muffler, and one would be for the intake, the fresh air intake. I've got this, which will clamp the 3-inch vent hose to that. But there is, and all the rest of these are fuel line clamps. There are no clamps for this, those buggers. Well, I guess for $200, something might be missing. But what I was going to say is, slipping this on here like this now. I'm slipping my air intake on. And then clamping these now. It's a lot easier to access this to tighten up the currently non-existent hose clamps and then drop the whole unit through the hole. But I'm not going to do that now at all. I need to go get some sealant to run a nice heavy bead of sealant around here, which will seal this to the floor. I need to vacuum that out, and I need to purchase some 1-inch hose clamps for these. So I guess that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned as much as I did. Take care.